What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you've watched my previous videos, then you have seen me in the same thing. That's because I'm bulk filming today. I have a lot of time on my hands, so I'm bulk filming, so your girl gotta stay consistent. Today I just thought we would do a really cool, chilled, laid back, old school type of vibe on the YouTube channel. I'm gonna be sharing with y'all my entire eyeshadow palette collection. We're gonna go through all the eyeshadows I have and we're just gonna do a couple swatches and take a look, chill with me, grab a snack, something to drink, get a piece of paper and a pen so you can jot down what eyeshadow palettes you want to put on your wish list. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're gonna start off with this drawer. This is like the bottom drawer in my pack system. I kind of use it for like storage of these organizers, which I kind of messed myself over because I have no idea how to put these back together. I tried to like bundle them, each organizer together, but I have no idea about this. These were like the organizers that were in my Alex 9 drawers when I used to have those. But this is basically where I keep all of my Glamlight palettes. Literally, this drawer is dedicated to Glamlight. The packaging is super bulky, really hard to store, so it had to have its own drawer, but I'm so happy I have a place for literally all my Glamlight palettes. So the first palette I have in here is the Glamlight Frosted Flakes palette. This is my newest Glamlight palette. I do have the Michaela Volume 2 palette coming soon whenever that ships, but this is so gorgeous. I kind of want to do a blue look today, but I really love this palette. I feel like the shimmers in here are gorgeous. Definitely does scream Frosted Flakes to me, and I really, really love it. I'm also wearing a robe, so ignore my robe. This is probably one of my favorite like themed collabs they came out with in regards to a food, which I really, really love. So I have that one. Speaking of the Michaela palette, I have the first one, which is definitely one of my favorites. You guys can see I've definitely tapped into these shimmers a lot. Audrey is my favorite shade in this palette. I'm really hoping that the new one doesn't replace my favorite of this one, but this is definitely ranked pretty high up there on my list. This one right here is the Glamlight Cupcake palette. I feel like this is slept on a lot. I do like to keep my Glamlight packaging that it comes in because I feel like it's a part of the experience and I want to keep that. So this is what the Cupcake palette looks like. I think it's a really pretty Valentine's Day-esque palette. The shimmers in here, once again, are absolutely gorgeous. You can see which ones I've tapped into. I need to pull this one out because this is such a beautiful, beautiful color story. It doesn't really scream red velvet cupcake to me, but I kind of was hoping that we would see more cupcake themed palettes from Glamlight. Maybe like a cupcake collection with multiple palettes, who knows, but I think this was really cute and I love the packaging. This one is the Glamlight Cake palette. This one is really gorgeous. I remember when this first came out, everyone was so excited for this. I feel like Glamlight's formula now is just even more intense. This is a typical rainbow palette. It's really gorgeous. Love it. I'm not going to try to spend too much time talking about each palette. These two right here are the Glamlight paint palettes. I have the which one is this? This is the Pro paint palette. Really pretty. I have the regular paint palette. I don't usually use these too much, but they are really pretty rainbow palettes. The Donut palette. This one is the Pie palette. It's definitely not my favorite from Glamlight, but it is a cute fall palette. Then I have the Chocolate Donut one, which is really pretty for those neutral lovers. I'm not gonna sit and swatch everything because we will be here all day. We have a lot of palettes to get through. Some I'll go into depth on, but some I won't. This one right here is my favorite Glamlight palette. This is the Ice Cream palette. If you are someone like a person of color and you struggle with pastels, this is a beautiful palette to pick up because you will not have problems with the pastels in here. I absolutely love this palette so much. It's really gorgeous. Highly recommend this one. I cannot recommend that one enough. Then back here, I do have my little packaging from the Happy Hour collection, which is definitely one of my favorite collections that Glamlight has done. I think it is my favorite collection they've done. I really love the aesthetic, everything behind that. So I don't bother putting the palettes back in these because it's so inconvenient, but I love the whole experience of it. This one is the Margarita palette. Really pretty, nice, summery palette. I do need to pull this out just so I can use it because it's really, really pretty for summer. There's some gorgeous pinks in here. This one's the Wine palette, which is a purple lover's dream. I really, really love this one. Then I have the Chocolate Martini palette in here. This one is also for my neutral lovers. If you love those neutral shades, you're gonna love this one. This one's honestly really, really gorgeous. I need to take this one with me on vacation because this is stunning. This is so stunning. Her color stories are just beautiful. Okay, then we have the Dirty Martini palette, which is, if you love greens, you're gonna love this one. This is also a really fun, gorgeous, gorgeous color story. It's not a monochromatic palette, but like it's borderline monochromatic. These, like this, I think I will like get rid of this because it's a little bit like, I get it, but I don't need to keep these. I think I'm gonna get rid of these. So now we're getting into the Hershey's collection or collab with Hershey's. So this is the purple one, really gorgeous, so pretty. The blue one, if you have this one, you definitely don't need the Frosted Flakes palette from Glamlight. Just need to like condense some of these things. This one, which one is this? This one is the Milk Chocolate palette. So this one's more cool toned. And there's another one in here that's more warm toned, neutral, brown kind of packaging or aesthetic. This one is the Milk Chocolate with almonds. This is the one that's pretty much on the warmer side. Then we have the pink one, which is the Lava Cake palette. Really, really pretty. Obsessed with this shade. Oh, it's so creamy. Like, look at that. I'm obsessed with that. That's beautiful. Last but certainly not least in here, let's dive into the last two, which we have the Burger palette, which I think I am gonna go ahead and get rid of the packaging on the Burger palette, just to like save some space on it. This is what this one looks like. This is definitely not my favorite Glamlight palette. I feel like the formula has gotten so much better than this one since then, but I am gonna go ahead and part ways with the packaging on that. And then we have the Pizza palette, which it's so hard for me to get rid of the packaging, but I feel like if I get rid of it, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, why did I do that? This one is the Pizza palette. This was like the first one. This is like what really put Glamlight on the map. All right, so next up in this drawer, the lighting is not the best, but this is probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palette drawers. I just have everything stacked on top of each other because I feel like I can just fit more in this drawer by doing that. But I did declutter a lot of palettes. You guys are gonna see that I've decluttered quite a bit. I feel like my style has changed on like what I go for. I used to buy like literally every eyeshadow palette that I see, but now it has to really speak to me for me to want to buy it. Of course, I'm gonna buy every Beauty Bay eyeshadow palette, hands down, but I am obsessed with Beauty Bay. So we're gonna go through let's go through Beauty Bay first. So this one is the 42. This is the OG Fiery palette from Beauty Bay. I do want to do like an in-depth video on my Beauty Bay palettes so you can pick out what's the best for you. This is definitely not my favorite from Beauty Bay. This formula is not the same as the current formula, but they did come out with a updated Fiery 2.0 palette, which we're gonna get into. This one is the Jade collab with Beauty Bay. This is my favorite Beauty Bay palette of all time thus far, unless they come out with something else. Love this so much. This is absolutely beautiful. This is just, I can just travel with just this palette and I would be so happy. Here is the Fiery 2.0 I was telling you about. This is the updated version. As you can see, so much better. This screams fiery to me. It's not neutral like the other one. I just absolutely love this. The shimmers in here, gorgeous. Then we have the Midnight palette. This is for those blue and purple lovers. I absolutely adore this palette. Every time I look at it, I just get so much inspiration to want to create different looks. It's like I want to use every shade in the palette, but I have to take my time and go through each. This one is the Earthy palette. If you, ooh, my palette is ruined. If you are in love with greens, definitely recommend this one. It's neutral with greens. I love the shades in here. Definitely need to tap into this palette. Here is the nude palette. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but if you're a makeup artist, this is the perfect palette. If you are a nude lover, you might really love this one. I feel like this palette just needs a 2.0 with the updated version, because this is not the updated formula. This is not the new formula. This is the old formula, so it's not as good as it could be, but I would love to see a nude 2.0 of this palette. Then I have the Bright Matte palette, which is like a staple palette of all matte rainbow. Perfect. They have a bright that has like shimmers mixed in with mattes, and then they just came out with a Bright 2.0, which I'm loving the 2.0s, but I do want to get the Bright 2.0 soon. Whenever the new Beauty Bay palette comes out, I'm gonna order both of them at the same time. Love Notes. This color story people didn't really love, but the formula is amazing. It's not my favorite color story, but you can create some really pretty soft looks with this palette. Sunset Horizon, definitely not my favorite color story. I don't really reach for this. This is probably like my least reach for Beauty Bay palette. I'm just not a fan of the color story. New Romantic, these are unfortunately discontinued, but they did come out with other palettes inspired by these that I'm about to show. So this is that one. Wilderness is inspired by the Earthy palette I showed you earlier. Then the Book of Magic is inspired by the Midnight palette. And then we have the Age of Opulus palette. Really gorgeous jewel tones. This is beautiful, okay? Absolutely stunning, stunning palette. My last Beauty Bay palette that I have is the collab with Nikki Tutorials. This one right here, I feel like this was the first palette that they came out with that updated new intense formula, and then ever since it's just been literally the best. I literally love the formula so much. Definitely not my favorite palette, but I get it. I really get the aesthetic of this one, so. All right, right here up front, I just have couple Morphe palettes. I did give away some Morphe palettes and then decluttered some. So I did keep this one. I don't really use my Morphe palettes that often. I don't know why, I just don't usually gravitate to them. Then of course I cannot declutter, no matter how hard I try, my Jaclyn Hill palettes. So I have the OG Jaclyn Hill palette, which is like pretty neutral, basic. And then the Volume 2 palette, which I definitely think I like a lot more than the other one. Over here, I have the Be Perfect Carnival 3 Love Tahiti palette. A lot of palettes you guys can find if you don't see it in this video. A lot of them are on my Poshmark. This is the Made by Mitchell Do You Want Some Milk palette. This palette I am still trying to get a feel for. I've used it so many times, but it's like some of the shades are pressed really, really hard. I just don't know. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the eyeshadow formula. Some of the shimmers in here are pretty insane. Like, pretty insane, but some of the shades are pressed extremely hard and really chunky, where you really have to like work with them. And yeah, but they're pretty once you do work with them. Then I also have the Be Perfect Carnival Antidote palette. This is like my go-to fall palette. Then I have my Colourpop, heavy. Colourpop 30 pan palettes in here. So this one's my favorite one. I'm gonna sit this one to the side, sitting this to the side, because that's gorgeous. Then the Bare Necessities, which never lets me down. Mine is so dirty. Oh my gosh, it's so dirty, but this is like one of the prettiest palettes Colourpop has ever come out with. Truly, it's like a staple must-have in your collection. Really pretty as well. Definitely more grungy, pinky kind of vibes. Then the It's a Mood palette, which is one of my favorite 30 pans as well. It's beautiful, jewel toned, stunning, perfect for the fall time. Then the It's All Good palette. I feel like not many people talked about this. This isn't like the best color story from Colourpop, but I thought it was really pretty and I was so excited. This is like one of the early days of 30 pan palettes. Not a fan of cool tones, but if I need a cool tone look, then I know where to go. The Kathleen Lights collab with Colourpop, which is beautiful. And then I have my Norvina palettes. Oh, not all of them. The other one I do have, I don't know where I put it though, the newest one. This one's volume 4. This looks like Barbie in a palette, definitely. 3 palettes. Absolute favorite, volume 5. Oh my goodness, the Purple Lover's Dream. This is like my favorite purple palette in my collection. Okay, so I have a lot of Colourpop palettes. I feel like I literally could do a whole video on my regular Colourpop palettes, so this is gonna be quite a lot to go through. I'm gonna keep it really fast because I have a lot of Colourpop palettes, y'all. All right, so, oh my gosh, how should we do this? This is the Wild Child, Main Squeeze, Blue Moon, Blowin' Smoke, Wine and Only, Lush Life, really pretty for the summer. One of my favorites, love this collab. I feel like Colourpop doesn't make these 12-pan palettes like this anymore, and I wonder why. Now we're getting more like this, like limoncello, more for your money, and I think the price is still the same. This one is definitely not my favorite. Now that I look at it, it's a little bit neutral, don't really gravitate to this one. Tinkerbell palette, love this. Sweet Talk, Sailor Moon, Lizzie McGuire, it's the nostalgia for me, definitely. Dur Noor, I can never say this one, but I really think this was such a unique color story. It's really, really beautiful. It's a very beautiful palette. Off Melrose, Flutterby, Good as Gold, Nage à Moi, also a really gorgeous palette. An OG, this one is the Yes Please palette. They don't sell this anymore. I don't even think I've ever used this palette. Oh my gosh, I need to use this because I think this is beautiful for the summertime. Like, this is beautiful. All That. I remember when this palette first came out, I was obsessed with it. Whatever. Give It to Me Straight. So Very Lovely. Bye Bye Birdie. This is literally also one of my favorite collabs Colourpop has ever done. This was their collab with Becky G. There was so much controversy surrounding this entire collection. I'm happy I was able to get this palette because when I tell you, this was Colourpop's first all matte palette at the time, and I loved this palette. I still love it to this day. It's such a perfect palette. I literally would not change anything about the color story. I absolutely loved it, and the packaging is so beautiful. Kathleen Lights, this is the Dream Street collab. Zodiac palette with Kathleen Lights. And then the California Love palette. This is my favorite palette for the summertime from Colourpop. This also reminds me of California. When I lived in California, this is literally the only palette that I used. It just was very fitting for the time. Moving on to these right here. In a Trance palette. Baby Got Peach. I don't think I've used this palette yet. It's just not my favorite. It's My Pleasure. Going Coconuts, Lilac You a Lot, On Cloud Blue, Strawberry Shake, Honey, Ooh La La, Good Mood, That's Taupe, Orchid You Not, really pretty. Love this palette. R was my first Colourpop palette I've ever bought. So this holds a special place in my heart. There isn't even any shade names. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Then we have Cloud Spun, Just My Luck, Meant to Be, Orchid You Not. This is also one of my favorites as well. I really, really love the shimmers in this one. They're so beautiful, perfect for the fall time as well. Aching Mauves, love the shimmers. The shimmers in this palette truly make this palette for me. Ooh, this one feels very hard. Ooh, oh my goodness, that is not good. Ooh, that's super hard. Ooh, but that one, oh, that one is beautiful. That one is good too. But wow, this one is just the only one not vibing. This one is the Big Poppy palette, perfect for the fall. Frozen 2, this is the Elsa palette. I did declutter the Anna palette. Mandalorian the Child, Mandalorian palette. This one is the Rudolph palette, very neutral, but it's perfect for Christmas time. I feel like this is a great palette to pull out for Christmas. It literally has everything that you need, but I don't know if they still sell this one anymore. I haven't checked, but it's a cute palette. Barbie Malibu, I feel like this was like on sale for the longest time. Perfect for summer, really, really cute. Misunderstood palette, this was the Disney Villains collab. Can we like get this? Another Villains collab? Like, I think they killed that one, and I wasn't like into Colourpop when this came out. Surprisingly, I was able to get the palette, but like way after the collection launched. But I really, really want another unique collection like that. I loved that collection. Hocus Pocus, the OG palette, which is so good. I love this one. The Mulan palette, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, but I loved it. OG Disney designer palette. I don't think I've ever used it, maybe once. Powerpuff Girls palette, don't really use this as much. Looking at it now, I feel like this could have been a little bit different, but it's still a cute palette. This one is the Midnight Masquerade palette with the Disney princesses. I seriously love the packaging on this. I have the Through My Eyes palette. This is the I Love Sarah EX Colourpop collab. I was so excited to get this. This was like randomly stocked on the site and I got it. That's the Colourpop drawer. Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. ABH Primrose palette. I need to take a break from this palette because I have been using this so much this summer. I need to show my other palettes in my collection some kind of love. Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2 palette. So beautiful. Obsessed with the shimmers in here. Out of both of the palettes, this one is my favorite. This one is the other Patrick Ta palette. Definitely not a fan of this one. I much prefer the other one. ABH XM Reezy. I haven't really tapped into this palette. It's such a pretty palette. I don't know why I haven't used it. I might pack this up and make sure to use it because it's so pretty. Both of my Melt palettes. This one is the Gemini. Melt Gemini 2. So pretty. I love the tones in this palette. So stunning. BH Primrose palette. This is so gorgeous. Really, really like this. I can't wait to see what else Anastasia comes out with because this palette really, really exceeded my expectations. Natasha Sunrise. Natasha Love, Natasha Bronze. This is my favorite Natasha Denona palette thus far. It's very neutral, but I feel like a lot of people can use this palette and get lots of looks out of this palette. Natasha Denona Retro, also really gorgeous. Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. Huda Beauty Naughty Nude. This is my favorite Huda Beauty palette. I really, really love it. The tones, everything about it, so gorgeous. Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered. I'm obsessed with the shimmers in this palette. Well, they're not really shimmers, they're kind of like creams. You can see they're kind of creamy. I don't feel like she makes this formula anymore, but I really like this cream formula. Huda Beauty Rose Quartz, not my most used Huda palette, but it's still really pretty. Lastly, for Huda Beauty palettes, I have this one, which is the new Nude. Gorgeous. Totally forgot about these. The Huda Beauty like minis. Huda Wild Python, Wild Jaguar, Wild Chameleon, Tacky Haze. This one is the Pat McGrath X Bridgerton. My TATIANNAANESA Cosmetics palette in here. Love it. This is the Nola palette, so pretty, obsessed with it. Flower Beauty palettes, which I'm obsessed with. Jungle Lights and Desert Lights. These are some Ofra palettes. This is one that I kind of like customized to myself. I'm taking this on vacation with me, so I kind of like took other things from Ofra palettes and made one big palette of my go-tos, my favorites. Favorite eyeshadows, the bronzer and the blush duo, a blush, a black, of course, a black shadow, some blush, banana powder, and a highlighter. It's right here. It's just the eyeshadows that I just mixed up. This was a blush palette. I don't know why that's in here, but I kind of like mixed some things up. This is an eyeshadow palette I took some things from. This not supposed to be in here. This is mostly Juvia's Place palettes. So this is the Nubian Royal, Nubian Glow, Violet, the Bronze Rustic, Yami Angelina. Not sure if I'm saying her name right, but it's a pretty collab palette. Chocolates, Pinks, Essa X Juvia's, the Blushed Rose, the Tribe, so pretty, the Saharan 2, Zulu, the Festival, the Warrior 3, Warrior 2, of course the OG Warrior palette, Neutral Lover's Dream. You love neutrals, this is the best palette to pull. Jaclyn Cosmetics Divine Neutrals palette. I'm gonna put this with my Morphe palettes. It's 2. This one is the Wahala 2. I have the Wahala palette. Lunar Beauty in here. Eternal Eclipse Spell, which is so pretty. Look at the packaging on this. Stunning. Really, really pretty for the fall. This is the Greek Goddess. So pretty. Strawberry Dream. So pretty for summer. I have the Dominique Cosmetics Transition palette, which is really pretty. pretty neutral palette. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. Let me know your thoughts down below. What did you just add to your wish list? Because I know you added something to your wish list, because every time I watch these kind of videos, I'm always adding stuff to my wish list. But I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.